Hello, my fellow plebs, and today is a presentation on Norse mythology, which I had help with my friend Jay Bola. And yes, this will have extensive knowledge of Loki and his kids. So the thematic and political maps, this area, the mainly Norwegian settlements, is all up in Norway, obviously, and then in Iceland. A lot in Iceland and Norway. You see some in Ireland, and some in Scotland, and some in England, which back then apparently was called Danelaw, but you see some up in this general area. There's not much for beliefs and practices. People had personal bowls for sacrifices, like a little bowl to set next to their bedside or something like that, for sacrifices such as fruits, vegetables, and small animals. Armory for protection, which could consist of a shield on the wall, or in fact a room full of shields and weapons. A large tree is believed to be the source of luck and protection. Odin and his two brothers decided to kill Ymir because they were bothered about how many giants were there. They used his body for our world. The blood was used for rivers, oceans, and lakes, the flesh for land, the bones for mountains, teeth for rocks, and the eyelashes for trees. They threw his brain in the sky and it became clouds, and his skull became the sky. We were standing on a carcass. My partner did this part, so I'm just like, wow. History of Norse mythology. Norse mythology claimed to have started around the Middle Ages. Those who practice it call it tradition rather than religion. Christianity came around. Those who still believed in the Norse gods were considered heathens. A stereotypical thought of Vikings wearing horned helmets is wrong. Only the Norse and Germanic priests wore helmets. Did you know Vikings were the most hygienic of their time around their area? They made combs and razors from animal bones. They also bathed at least once a week, which is more than most people around at that time. The Vikings did enjoy dips in the hot springs in their area. Viking gentlemen preferred to be blonde, using strong soap and high lye content to bleach their hair. It also kept lice off. Vikings didn't recognize other Vikings. That term is referred to all Scandinavians who went into oversea expeditions. In the Old Norse days, the people buried their dead in boats to sail them off to the next place, be it Valhalla, Folkvanger, or Helheim. Valhalla being the most known of them all. A common Viking term you may have heard is Hvis jeg ikke ser deg egen eide live, vil jeg se deg severing med Gudin, which means, if I don't see you again in this life, I'll see you dining with the gods, a reference to feasting with the gods in Valhalla. Although this seems good, Odin takes people for all selfish reason. He chooses only the best warriors for the battle of Fenrir and Ragnarok. Valhalla also depicted as a training ground. Folkvanger, on the other hand, is where the other half of good people go. It's depicted as a large field in which Freya watches over. As for Helheim, here's a long story. The gods feared all of Loki's first children, besides Sleipnir, which is Sleipnir. Fenrir the wolf, Jormungand the serpent, and Hel the half-living, half-dead. Being the case, they captured them for Angerboda's hall. They threw Jormungand in the ocean where he grew just around Midgard. They kept Fenrir in Asgard to keep an eye on him, but over time he grew powerful. Hel, on the other hand, was left in Helheim, also known as Niflheim. There she was left to rule the undead. Fenrir is the oldest of Loki's children. He was bound with a substance known as Gleipnir. This was made out of the sound a cat makes when it moves, a woman's beard, roots of a mountain, the sinews of a bear, breath of a fish, and a bird's spittle. Fenrir couldn't escape. Jormungand is the second oldest. Not much happened with him, other than surrounding Midgard. He grew so big that he could surround Midgard and bite down on his own tail. All the interesting stuff happened in the Battle of Ragnarok with him. Helheim is a place for those who died in sickness, old age, or were dishonored. Hel ruled here. She shared her food with those with her. Her plate was hunger, her knife was famine, her bed was sickbed, and her bed hangings are glimmering misfortune, thus explaining some of what she controls. As for Loki, Laufey was his mother, not his father. His father's name is Farbauti. Farbauti means cruel striker, and Laufey means tree. Loki had many more children, but this is all I care to explain. As for his history, he's the god of mischief, though Loki's mischief went too far. The gods had enough and went to capture him, but he ran and hid. The gods found the whereabouts and went to go catch him. Loki then transformed into a salmon to hide. It worked for a little bit, until evidence was shown. Then Thor caught Loki and brought him into a cave. There he was bound with a poisonous snake hanging over his head. His wife Sigyn would hold a bowl over his face to catch the poison. But when the bowl gets full, she has to empty the contents in this time. The venom drips down on his face and causes him to shake violently, which is the source of earthquakes on Midgard. He stays bound until the Battle of Ragnarok. I prefer not to go into the Battle of Ragnarok, but here's the gist of it. Basically, it's like the end of times, where the gods were wiped out. Jormungand killed Thor, Fenrir killed Odin, and all the gods were demolished, thus bringing an end to almost all practices and beliefs. However, few people today, including myself, believe such things. These sources are valid because they are educational websites, such as .net and .org, so in which you can look up everything that I just said on these websites and see that I'm correct. Thank you for your time, and remember, bow to me, Mulinquim.